this is a poem about the adjustment period when you come to Houston, I guess.
Hey, watch it.
And it's about the difficulty of, being, poets used to live in the country and, describe the scroll work at the edge of the leaf and the way that dew catches in the spider web in the morning. It's so beautiful, isn't it? But you have to make do with where you are. So this is called Because It Is Houston.
Oh, Tony.
Because it is Houston, the streetlights have to take the place usually reserved for the moon in the poem. And the traffic in the background, with its roar and surge, stands in for the ocean, tossing wrecks like driftwood on the shore. Because it is Houston, the tight little blonde talking on her cell phone while backing her SUV at high speed through the parking lot is a respected citizen. And the gnarled, serpentine, stretched out limbs of oaks above certain shady boulevards suggest that even ugly can be beautiful. Because it is Houston, a moist wind blowing from the south at dawn carries the faint petrochemical bouquet from the landfills of our fathers and the landfills of their fathers. How sweet it smells. A morning shower has knocked down blossoms from the honeysuckle bush into the grass, like little ivory trumpets. Because there is no one better qualified around. Because it is Houston. You are the one who gets to kneel upon the buckled sidewalk and look at them in silence. This is a poem. This is a poem I wrote, it's after a poem, a pretty famous poem by a Peruvian poet named Cesar Vallejo. His poem is called Black Stone on a White Stone, written in Spanish. And it's a famous poem among poets because it has that prediction of the poet's death, where he says, I think I will die in Paris on a Thursday, and I think it will be raining, because today it is raining, and never before have the roads seemed so endless, etc., etc. I will die on a Thursday. Cesar Vallejo is dead, he says, in his own poem, which is kind of cool. Tony Hoagland is dead. You should say that to yourself with your own name substituted, and it's kind of exciting. So, in this poem, this is the poem in which I predict my death in Houston. And poems exist, sometimes they exist just for individual lines, that a poem is a delivery vehicle for its best moments. And you'll be able to tell not every moment in this poem is its best moment, but the sweet spot comes in the middle. So. Black SUV. Instead of black stone on a white stone, it's called black SUV, on a white Nissan. That's really what it is. Black SUV. I will die in Houston on a Monday afternoon, squashed by a giant black... I can't read this at the fundraisers, because it involves a lot of what we call lawyer slander, attorney slander. And that sort of term suggests what would happen as a consequence of it. Black SUV. I will die in Houston on a Monday afternoon, squashed by a giant black SUV, driven by some lawyer who never really needed four-wheel drive, yapping on his cell phone when he cuts me off. With my blood fizzing out onto the street like so much sugary grape soda, I will listen to him trying to reach his lawyer before the cops arrive with their awkward questions about lines of sight and liability. But at least I will be allowed to look up at the sky while I expire, through the twisting limbs of 100-year-old oaks, like a jigsaw puzzle that finally makes sense, as an example of how hard life tries to extend itself. I will die on a Monday in Houston in the afternoon. And I will not be happy at the indignity of being slain by a person who thinks of Bill O'Reilly as a deep thinker. A man who has never even looked for, much less found, a clitoris. But I was told some time ago that life might halt in this kind of unlikely intersection. That death might be the ultimate awkward social occasion. And I suppose I can predict when so much else frightens me, that this too will frighten me. I suppose I will recoil from this new experience about which so many rumors have been spread, but I hope I will be able to coax myself forward, like I was slipping into something more comfortable than Monday afternoon in dying in Texas. Though it should be said, there are worse places too.
I'm not clapping for that. I'm not clapping for that.
Did y'all remember about the soft spot? I'd forgotten until he said the clitoris. Oh! The soft spot. That was funny. The rest of it was good too, but I want to use that as a put down for somebody. Man,
you are in trouble already.
Work on that as an insult. All right, let me see. Poems inspired by other poets. Here's Snow for Wallace Stevens. Like, does anybody in the room know To a High Tone Christian woman? You know, Tink and Tank and Tunk a Tunk Tunk, and then Decorations in a Nigger Cemetery. Nobody knows that poem, but that's Wallace Stevens too. Snow for Wallace Stevens. No one living a snowed-in life can sleep without a blindfold. Light is the lion that comes down to drink. I know Tink and Tank and Tunk a Tunk Tunk holds nearly the same sound as a bottle. Drink and drank and drunk a drunk drunk. Light is the lion that comes down. This song is for the wise man who avenges by building his city in snow, for his decorations in a nigger cemetery. How, with pipes of winter lining his cognition, does someone learn to bring a sentence to its knees? Who is not more than his limitations? Who is not the blood in a wine barrel and the wine as well? I too, having lost faith in language, have placed my faith in language. Thus, I have a capacity for love without forgiveness. This song is for my foe, the clean-shaven, gray-suited, gray patron of Hartford, the emperor of whiteness, blue as a body made of snow. Wills and Testaments. Should I do this will poem? I got poems about, I think everything in Window in the Box is about imagining your own death. But I mean, I do that every day. Think about being dead, so.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
I'll read one of these Window in the Box poems. Yeah, okay, so here's one of the Window in the Box poems. Window in the Box. It's sort of a will. I claim in the last hour of this known hysterical breathing, I have nothing to give but a signature of wind. My typewritten handwriting reconfiguring the past. To the boy with no news of my bound and bountiful kin, I offer 12 loaves of bread. Governed by hunger, he wanted only not to want. What is the future beyond a premonition? What is the past beyond desire? To my brother I leave a new suit, a tie made of silk and shoes with unscuffed bottoms. To the mirror water. To the water, a book with no pages, the author's young face printed on the spine. I wanted children taller than any man on earth. If everyone was like me, I said to the mirror. To my lover, I leave enough stories to fill an evening, enough sleep to walk from one coast to another without pause. I held no counsel with God. I cut open the fruit of a tree without speaking to the tree. I ate food prepared by strangers. To the black cashier, I leave nothing. Her story is like the one I was given. To all the carpenters looking at the ceiling, nothing. Here, in the last moments of my illiterate future, may the people know I did not matter. Shoe prints at the door. Shoe prints on the old road. To the boy with two lights going on and off in his stare, I leave the riddle of the turtle who had shelter but no company. To the black girl, grace. To the black girl, mirrors. A father blessed with the gift of mind reading. Men who do not wound her, men she does not wound herself for, and mother love. Unable to shed the old skin and stand, I stand here in the hours of my hours alive. These words want to answer your questions. These words want to stave off your suffering, but cannot. I leave them to you. Enough sky and a trail. Wood and enough metal for machines. Tell me, what am I going to do when I'm dead? Let my shadow linger against the earth. Protect my children.
Terrance is reading all these lyric, passionate poems of emotional nakedness.
I'll stop.
Please stop. I'm gonna read two poems that are, slightly passionate. So, this is a poem about erotic imagination. I read a poem just yesterday or today, and it said something wonderful about how profound pornography is and how we don't understand it. And we don't understand it. It's clear we don't understand it. We don't understand what it is or why we need it. Anyway, so this poem addresses that question, but not in an explicit way. It's called Not Renouncing. I always thought that I was going to catch Elena in the library one afternoon, and she would shove me gently backwards into the corridor of 839.7 in the Dewey Decimal System, where we would do it in the cul-de-sac of 18th century drama. Or I thought that we would meet by chance in a bed and breakfast on the Delaware seashore and B&B each other in a helter-skelter of goose down duvets and chamomile tea. When I flew over the high plains of Wyoming, I dreamed of taking off her cowboy shirt and seeing her pale skin in a field of windswept prairie grass, which kept us completely out of sight. And even in the British National Museum, I fell into a trance before the model of the castle and the moat, the drawbridge and the catapult, with all those movable, moving parts. This is the imagination of a man. It wanes and waxes all through his life, like a kind of tumescence. I am not bragging, and I'm not renouncing. I stood in one garden, looking over the fence at another. I thought I had to change my life or give up, but I didn't. Year after year, they kept growing into each other. The dreamed into the real into the dreamed. The two gardens sending their flexible, sinuous vines, their tendrils and unbuttoning blossoms ceaselessly over their borders. This is about a different object of imagination, Britney Spears. You remember when she appeared? Did you say she lives? That's a matter of opinion. First of all, you remember when she first appeared, and there were these computer analyses of her face, and how it was unnaturally symmetrical, which led to some speculation about the possibility that she had been genetically designed, or possibly hatched from a giant aluminum egg someplace in the West. What is Britney Spears? That's really the question that I'm bringing to you tonight. I don't know the answer. I'm just a man. I don't know. But this is about feeling sympathy for Britney Spears. You know, one is manipulated into having so many feelings, so many mixed feelings about celebrities. I love her, I hate him, I feel sorry for him. I have a weird thing, I feel sorry for famous people all the time. And that is ridiculous. Anyway, poor Britney Spears is not a sentence I expected to utter in this lifetime. If she wants to make a career comeback, so her agent gets her a spot on the MTV Awards show, but she can't lose the weight beforehand, so looks chubby in a spangled bikini, before millions of fanged, spiteful fans and enemies, then gets a little drunk beforehand, so misses a step in her dance routine, making her look, one critic says, like a comatose piglet. Well, it wasn't by accident, was it, that she wandered into that glitterati party of late 20th century striptease celebrity? First, we made her into an object of desire, then into an object of contempt. Now, we want to nominate her as an object of compassion. Are you sure we know what the hell we're doing? Is she a kind of voodoo doll onto whom we vicariously project our fantasies of triumph and humiliation? Is she a pink, life-sized piece of chewing gum, full of non-FDA approved additives, bioengineered and fed to us by the mad scientists of the mainstream dream machine? Or is she nothing less than a gladiatrix who stalks into the Colosseum, full of blinding lights and tigers, before a vast stadium of witnesses, with naught but her slim javelin of talent and recklessly little protective clothing? Oh, my adorable little monkey, prancing for your candy. With one of my voices, I shout, "Jump, jump, you little whore." With another, I say, in a tired voice that turns down the lights, "Put on some clothes and go home, sweetheart."
Woo!
One more each?
Yeah, one more each.
One more each?
One more each.
Yeah. Okay. I heard that monkey. I thought I could do it. I want to do this poem with the monkey. Tony wants me to tell stories though. Now I would say, "Oh, I'll tell a story." You want me to tell a story
You tell a story,
instead of singing.
Come on.
Monkey.
I'll do something. The monkeys poem is not a story. Here's the story. The avocado. It's true. That's what I say. In 1971, drunk on the sweet, sweet juice of revolution, a crew of us marched into the college president's office with a list of demands, the black man tells us at the February luncheon. And I am pretending I haven't heard this one before, as I eye black tortillas on a red plate beside a big green bowl of guacamole made from the whipped, battered remains of several harmless former avocados. If abolitionists had a flag, it would no doubt feature the avocado, also known as the alligator pear for obvious reasons. Number one, reparations. Enough gold to fill each of our women's wombs. Gold to nurse our warriors waiting to enter this world with bright fists. That's what we told him, the man says. And I am thinking of the money-colored flesh of the avocado. High in monosaturates, its oil content is second only to olives. I am looking at my wife's caterpillar locks dangle over her ear. I dare you to find a lovelier black woman from Cincinnati where the North touches the South. 3, we want more boulevards named for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. An airport named for Sojourner Truth. The roots of the avocado tree can raise pavement, so it's not too crazy to imagine the fruit as a symbol of revolt on the abolitionist flag. We are all one kind of abolitionist or another, no doubt. And we are like the avocado tree, with the avocado too, with its inedible, ruby-colored seed that can actually sprout from the inside when the fruit is over-mature, causing internal molds and breakdowns. Demand number 21. A Harriet Tubman statue in D.C. Brother man is weeping now and walking wet tissue to the trash can, and he is saying, Harriet Tubman was a walking shadow. Or he is saying, Harriet Tubman walked in shadows. Or he is saying, too many Harriet Tubman was a shadow to walk in. And the meaning is pureed flesh with lime juice, minced garlic, and chili powder. It is the salt and pepper Harriet Tubman tossed over her shoulder to trouble the bloodhounds. Many isolated avocado trees fail to fruit from lack of pollination. Goddamn, ain't you hungry? I whisper to my wife, and she puts a finger to my lips to distract me. Say, baby, wasn't that you waking me up last night to say you had a dream where I was a big man-sized, luscious avocado? That's true too. Someone's belly is growling. We weren't going to be colored. We weren't going to be Negro, the man says. And I'm thinking, every time I hear this story, it's the one telling the story that's the hero. Hush now, Harriet Tubman probably said near dawn, pointing a finger black enough to be her pistol barrel toward the future, or pointing a pistol barrel black enough to be her finger at the mouth of some starved, stammering slave, and then lifting her head to listen for something that no one but her could hear. There's the story. One more new poem, if I can find it. Yeah, there we go. Trying to play the piano. All this music that can't be played on the piano. It used to be anything could be played on the piano, but now there's a lot that can't be. The Rose Has Teeth, which is short for a title by Matmos. See? Some people know Matmos. The rose has teeth in the mouth of the beast. That's hot. It's electronic. You can't play it on the piano. The rose has teeth. I was trying to play the 12-bar blues with 2 bars. Because I can't play the piano, that's the thing. I've been trying for 10 years, but I can't really play it. I was trying to fill the room with a shocked and awkward color. I was trying to limber your shuffle, the muscle wired to muscle. I wanted to be a lucid hammer. I was trying to play like the first mechanic asked to repair the first automobile. Once piano, every man-made song could fit in your mouth. I was trying to play Burial's Ghost Hardware. I was trying to play steam and sequins for Larry Levan without the artificial bells and smoke. I was trying to play the sound of applause by trying to play the sound of rain. I was trying to mimic the stain on a bed, the sound of a woman's soft, contracting bellow, the answer to who I am. Before I trust the God who makes me rot, I trust you, piano. Something deathless fills your wood. Because I wanted to be invisible, I was trying to play like a woman blacker than an unpaid light bill, like a white boy lost in the snow. I wanted to be a ghost because the skull is just a few holes covered in meat. The skin has no teeth. I was trying to play the sound of a shattered window. I was trying to play what I felt singing in the mirror as a boy. I was trying to play what I overheard, the old questions, the hunger, the rattle of two spines. The body that only loves what it can touch always turns to dust. What would a mother feel if her child sang, "Sometimes I feel like a motherless child," too beautifully? A hole has no teeth. A bird has no teeth. But you got teeth, piano. You make me high. You make me dance as only a sail can dance its ragged, assailable dance. You make me believe there is good in me. I was trying to play California Dreaming with Jose Feliciano's warble. I was trying to play it the way George Benson played it on the guitar his daddy made him at the end of the war. My lady, she dreams of Chicago. I was trying to play Muhammadu Bamba, like a band of Africans named after a tree. A tree has no teeth. A horn has no teeth. Don't chew, piano. Don't chew. Sing to me, you fine-ass lounging harp. You fancy engine doing other people's work. I was trying to play the sound of an empty house because that's how I get by when the darkness in my body starts to bleed. I was trying to play Autumn Leaves because that's what my lady's falling dress sounds like to me. Before you, piano, I was just a rap of knuckles on the windowsill. I am filled with the sound of my lover's breathing, and only you can bring it out of me. Yeah. Thank y'all.
Last two poems. Thank you, guys. Okay. Since that was a poem about music, I'll read a poem about music. I have these friends who listen to a lot of crazy jazz, and they give me CDs all the time. Terrance is one of them, and I put them on, and it just sounds, so confused and unhappy that I think, wow, I want to send money somewhere. So this is about listening to, a CD that somebody gave me, out of the goodness of his heart. And about what I hear, when jazz goes past a certain point of crazy. Jazz. I was driving home that afternoon in some dilated condition of sensitivity of the kind known only to certain immortal poets and more or less everybody else. The sun of 6 p.m. glaring orangely through the trees as through the bars of some kind of cage, and the shabby citizens of Pecor Street waiting for the bus with their sorrowful posture and bad shoes. I admit, when I'm in one of these moods, I find it a little too easy to believe the trees are suffering, to see the twisted branches as outstretched arthritic hands, and the Spanish moss dripping from their scabby limbs as parasitic bunting. someone had given me a jazz CD he had thought I would enjoy. But the song unfurling on the stereo that day, it seemed a kind of torture music, played by wildly unhappy musicians on instruments that had been bent in shipping, then harnessed by some masochist composer for an experiment on the nature of obstruction. But of all the shrieking horns and drums, it was the passionate effort of a certain defective trumpet to escape from its predetermined plot that seemed to be telling a story that I knew, veering back and forth, banging off of walls, dripping a trail of blood, until it finally shattered through a window and disappeared. For some reason I didn't understand, it had to suffer before it was allowed to rest. It was permitted to rest before being recaptured. That was part of the composition. That was the only kind of freedom we were ever going to know. So this is my last poem. This is our last poem, and I just want to say thank you for coming, and how beautiful it is to be with my friend Terrance, and what a beautiful poet he is, and it's great. Friendship in art, one of the big compensations. This is called the loneliest job in the world. You know, and it's about, well, you'll figure it out. It's called the loneliest job in the world. It sort of envisions that love is this thing that's going all the time. It's like Grand Central Station, and there are all these floors, and these trains are always coming in and going out, and people are pushing the turnstiles, and you can sort of feel it all around you. You know, even though sometimes you aren't pushing the turnstile yourself, if you know what I mean. The loneliest job in the world. As soon as you begin to ask the question, who loves me? You are completely screwed. Because the next question is, how much? And then it is hundreds of hours later, and you are still hunched over your flowcharts and abacus, trying to decide if you have gotten enough. This is the loneliest job in the world, to be an accountant of the heart. It is late at night. You are by yourself, and all around you, you can hear the sounds of people moving in and out of love, pushing the turnstiles, putting their coins in the slots, paying the price which is asked, which constantly changes. No one knows why. Thanks.
Hoagland and Terrance. I just have to say, we've been doing this for 3 years. We have a lot of poets. Anybody out here a poet? If you did not hear this tonight and think that these guys were telling you, fucking top that killer. Come on! Poets! Right? This is fucking amazing. Thank you very much. See you next month.